So my 5-day migraine, that taught me about overgiving. If you are anything like me, you have probably overgiven for a lot of your life. You just don't know it because it was normalized as a child. If you grew up with difficult parents or in a difficult home life or in a toxic narcissistic home, you would have learned very early on that just being you wasn't going to work. Actually, what you needed to create was a fake persona that mitigated the abuse and the damage and that gave you the highest possibility. So for a lot of people that I see in my world, part of that fake persona was to be an overgiver, to help everybody in the family, to be a good girl or a good boy, to have minimal needs. So you didn't need much, but you gave everything, you gave lots. And then if we fast forward this into adult life and we say to ourselves, all right, where are we still overgiving? Because if you're still overgiving and you don't even realize that you're doing it, because it was normalized in childhood, you're going to continue having these very uneven relationships where they get what they need and you are running on empty and you don't receive back. You don't receive what you need, but they receive what you need. Long term, that doesn't give us the success we need, because to be successful in any area of our lives, however you would see success, is actually to be supported to be successful, right? We all need support. So if you're new to me and you haven't met me yet, hello, I'm Marina J, and I help us to flourish after narcissistic abuse, and I help us to break the conditioned patterns that we're in that keep us small, that keep us from literally being the person we were born to be. So I want to share today about my 5-day migraine that taught me about overgiving. A whole extra level that I never even knew that I know is going to really, really help you. Because it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to actually embody it and become it. So I want to take you back a few weeks ago where it was Wednesday night and I was in I call it my creation cave, like I was working away and I was creating a course to help you receive whatever it is that you're wanting, love, support, success, right? And I'm creating away and it's clicking and it's feeling fabulous. And I'm talking to my girlfriend in Australia and it gets to 1 in the morning and I'm like, all right, Marina, you've had enough. Let's go to bed, right? And so off I went and I woke up Thursday morning with a gigantic migraine, which I get sometimes if I've got the electric lights on too much and it's dark and I'm looking into a screen and it's, I get a migraine. So I took my usual over-the-counter drugs. I have tried everything natural known to man. And I'm not doing this video to ask for your help on migraines or your advice or anything like that. This is actually about you and receiving, okay? So I took what I usually take and it's got a bit of caffeine in it and it worked, okay? And then for the rest of the day, I had my day. And then the next morning I woke up again and the headache was still there, a little bit less, but still there. I was like, okay, that's cool. I often get these 2-day migraines, but I didn't have time to eat breakfast. And usually 99.9 times out of 10, I eat a proper full breakfast. And this time around, that didn't happen. So I kind of had a couple of bananas, a handful of walnuts, and I took my over-the-counter drugs. And about half an hour in, I thought, I don't feel good. I don't feel right at all. And it hit my stomach pretty hard. And I know these things can hit your stomach. I've never taken them on an empty stomach before. And I didn't feel so good. And so I thought to myself, you can't take any more medication. You're just going to have to ride this fucker out. I am a bit of a swearer. I'm just letting you know in advance. So I didn't take any more drugs. And the headache continued all of Friday, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, all of Monday. And I was doing everything else to try and get rid of it. And finally, it went Monday night. Here's what happened to me. So there I am wanting to launch this course And I thought, right, it's 3 weeks away. I've got time to launch it. And I thought, okay, well, Thursday was busy. You had a bit of a headache. You started it. You did a lot on Wednesday. That's fine. I had lots of clients. Boom, boom, boom. Friday, I felt really fucking miserable. And I was like, oh God, I really want to create this course, but I can't. I'm in so much pain. So what am I going to have to do? I can't do anything, right? I'm going to have to stop and receive. So I did that, but I was feeling really anxious inside because I had this real time crunch. I've got to get this course out before the end of the year. And there needs to be a lead time. If any of you are also coaches, you know all about, getting stuff out in terms of masterclasses and courses and the lead time that you need. Anyway, long story short, I ended up getting to Saturday, then I got to Sunday, and my beautiful husband, Paul, who I've been with for, I don't know, 16, 17 years, he was amazing. He just literally got up really early before work, and I'm talking like super early, went out at 7 a.m., got me bits and pieces that I needed to start calming down my intestines and to give me some pain relief. And because I studied Japanese yoga 25 years ago, and I learned a lot about Chinese medicine. So he got me lots of stuff around that. And if you follow me on stories, you would have seen the box that he would have gotten me on Instagram and Facebook. Anyway, so I got to Sunday and I'm feeling a bit better. I'm relaxing, but oh, fuck me, I am fighting it. I know that I should. I understand that's what I teach. And then it got to Monday and I thought, right, if you can launch by this Thursday, you've got 2 weeks until the course starts, you can do it. So Monday came and went. Tuesday, I was sort of creating it, but Wednesday, I was working with my business coach. It wasn't really clicking. I wasn't getting anywhere. And I felt so flat and so down on that Wednesday. I just thought, oh my God, because I cannot wait to put this course out. Like it's moving through me. I'm so excited to do it. But my body wasn't letting me do it. My mind wasn't letting me do it because my brain, it's hurting. It finished, but I was really tired after that. And I just couldn't get it. And I finally realized, and I had realized this actually on the weekend, but I didn't actually get it. Marina, you can't put a course out on receiving if you're overgiving, if you're pushing, because you're not embodied in it. It's bullshit. And so although I knew it, I was also like, and see if, do you ever do that? I was like, yeah, okay, great. I get it. I just want to get the course out, right? So I was like getting it, but not actually actioning it. Because if you get something, but your body and you do something completely different, I don't care who you are, you're not embodied, right? You're not embodied in that thing. You might know it, but you're not living it. I lived it in other areas of my life, but in my business, I've learned a lot of masculine ways of running a business. And so I can be quite pushy and right, I'm doing this, I'm putting this out there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I love that. And I'm not allowing myself to actually stop and receive. And so it got to Wednesday night, and I cannot tell you how down and flat I was. And if you know me, I don't normally get to that point very often. But here I was, right? And I was like, you know what? I came and my husband was like, how are you going? And I said, I'm done. I'm done. It was like, I think 10 p.m. And I said, I'm gonna stop trying. I'm just gonna stop. And that means I can't launch on Thursday. And then Little Voice said, but you could still launch on Friday if you give it a go. And so I told my assistant, and she's like, all right, let's see if we can go for Friday. And then on the Thursday, I thought, if it's not clicking, I'm not doing it. I just have to trust. And then on the Friday morning, she messages me and she said, are we all ready to rock and roll? And I was like, we are not ready to rock and roll. I am going to launch this next year. And we've done an awful lot of work. If I had allowed myself to actually be honest about how I was feeling a week earlier, it was beautiful weather. I live in the UK right now, and the weather is, we've had a crappy summer, right? And so the weather's been crap and we haven't had much sun. And that week before, there was so much sunshine and all I wanted to do was go out and play by the ocean. And I was like, but let's just get this done. Yeah, okay, but let's just get that done. Okay, but let's just do this and let's just do that and let's just do this and let's just do that. Well, I've gone beyond that, right? I've gone beyond that in my growth, right? In my growth, in my vibration, I've gone beyond that. But I was still operating from the old push me. And that's why none of it worked. None of it clicked. None of it fell into place. Bits were, but bits weren't. And that's not enough, right? You can't have it bitty. And so it got to that Friday and the relief I felt at not doing it. And I thought, you know what? Instead of overgiving and overdoing, what I actually needed to do last week was stop and receive. If I'd stopped and received all last week, I would have had a much more relaxing last 7 days. I wouldn't have had the 5-day migraine. I would have been able to be much more productive in other areas of my life, or maybe just rested, right? But I was too much in my masculine and not enough in my feminine. And if we think back to when we were in these difficult family systems, a lot of the times we couldn't relax fully. We couldn't just surrender. We had to be on guard, on point, watchful, hypervigilant, on, basically, on and perfect and doing and giving and all of these things. And so I was still carrying this element through my business. So I call this a narcissistic template, where you take the template that you learned as a child, where you gave 80% and you received 20% back of what you needed. And I've wrapped it around my business. Now I've been and we wrap it around businesses, we wrap it around current relationships, right? Where we give, but we don't receive, where it's all about the other person, or it's all about the job, or it's all about the goal, but actually not about us in the here and now. So I've been releasing the narcissistic template from my business, right? I don't have it in my personal life so much. It shows up more in my business. So I've been releasing it and I have a whole course on that, right? And so I know I'm doing it and I've helped so many people with this. And this was another level for me to deal with. So let's fast forward. I'm on Friday. I'm feeling enormous relief that actually I'm not doing it. And I realized, Marina, one of the things that I teach, and one of the things I'm going to teach in this course, is when you overgive, you stop receiving. And I thought, that's all you've been doing, my love, all week. And so I stopped completely. I surrendered. And if you know me, surrendering can be quite difficult to do. And again, notice if that's for you. That's not necessarily who I am. When we say things like, oh, you're a control freak, she's a control, it's usually it's in response from not feeling safe as a child, right? And that can be in any kind of family system, right? So many of us were in good family systems, but we still didn't feel safe, right? Because something was happening that we weren't aware of. And they didn't have to be narcissistic. It might have been that maybe you had a parent that was having trouble, in their workplace, or they kept being unemployed, or you had a mum, for example, that was just really unhappy in the marriage, but never said anything. It could be anything, okay? And again, I'm not talking about myself here in this, right? This is like, I have thousands of clients with all different things, and I pull from all of it. So anyway, the control thing, right? So what if the moment you stop pushing is actually the moment when the magic happens? I want you to think about your own life right now, and where in your own life are you pushing? Where are you in your own life are you doing and overgiving? And so you might say to me, yeah, Marina, but I've got a lot on. I've got 3 children. I've got to provide. I'm not talking about any of that. We've all got stuff to do. But there's a certain vibration that you bring to everything you do. And if it's not in balance, this is not perfection, not doing any of that perfection stuff. But if you're not in balance, you don't get to then receive the abundance that sits in that moment whilst you're doing what you're doing. You just won't. And so on that Friday, I was like, Marina, what if you surrendered? What if you completely let go? And what if you just surrendered to a higher power? Right. And I'm not religious at all, but I talk about God quite a lot if you know me. And I thought, what if you just want what God wants? Let's do that. So I did. And I have had more money and more clients step in the last couple of weeks than I have all month. Go fucking figure, right? God's saying to me, do you see what happens when you stop and receive? Do you see what happens when you actually embody the course that you know is running through you? Because I always think you teach what you need, and I'm very, very good at helping other people receive, but this is taking me now, right, to my next level. And why? Because this course is another level. So where in your life are you pushing? And can you start saying to yourself, if I overgive, I stop receiving? And just notice how that feels in your body. Because we're all just walking each other home, right? I think it was Ram Dass that said that. And part of that walking home is actually no longer being that fake self that we had to be, right, to get the highest possibility in our childhood homes. And it's actually about being our real selves. And your real self is going to be a self that controls less, pushes less, and actually receives more. So if this resonates with you, share in your comments below, what would you need to let go of? Or what would you let go of if you trusted that everything would work out? What would you let go of if you trusted that everything would work out? Would it be that you have to work hard for everything? Would it be that you have to push, 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 do? And this is, again, a trust thing, right? This is like, can we trust the universe? Can we trust God? Because in our family systems, we couldn't necessarily trust that we would receive. So we had to do everything ourselves, which then creates that imbalance later on in life. So notice for you now and healing from that, what would you let go of if you trusted that actually you were going to be safe, you were going to be supported, you were going to be accepted, you were going to be loved without having to do anything more than you're already doing? So this is what my 5-day migraine taught me about overgiving. Knowing it isn't doing it. Doing it is the final transformational piece. And you might have to do it over and over and over in order to learn the lesson. And that doesn't mean that I have to get multiple migraines, right, to learn the lesson. What it means is that I need to have more balance in my life. I need to receive more in my life consciously, because everything exists in the here and now. And if I'm doing, and not allowing myself to receive in this moment, it's not a balanced moment, right? It's not a balanced moment. So don't forget to, if this resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that I can continue creating. We can just continue this conversation, right? It's like, if you want more conversations like this, yeah, subscribe and hit the notification button, and just know that it is safe for you to do less and receive more as the absolute antidote for how you grew up. All my love.